if I want to live a extraordinary life, I have to commit to the fact that that means I have to do extraordinary things. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pivot Mindset Podcast. My name is Justin. I'm your host, and welcome back to the place that, man, we really get our mindset right. We believe here that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful, y'all. Like, success is a deliberate decision that we make each and every day in order to become the best version of ourselves. That we don't become the best version of ourselves unless we are open to making the pivots. And you might be saying, Justin, what do you mean? What pivots? What pivots are we having to be open to making? It is the mindset shifts. It is the things within our head, within our brain that truly stop us. And every single episode, we look to debunk and go against the mindset of mediocrity, the mindset of average, the mindset of mundane. So, man, I'm your host. I'm excited to have you here. Man, as always, I just ask that you give this podcast a rating and review. So, and wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on YouTube, or whether you're on Apple Music, wherever you are checking out this podcast, I just ask that you give your boy just a quick rating. Just let people know what you think about the podcast. It truly does go a far way when it comes to pushing out the podcast, getting a podcast out there. So yeah, man, so let's keep it pushing, man. So I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm coming out blazing. I'm coming out guns blazing in this episode. I didn't feel like doing this episode. Can I be honest? Can I just be real with y'all for a second? I really didn't feel like shooting this episode today. I just didn't, yo. Like let's just kind of have a little bit quick honesty hour. Man, my schedule has been absolutely nuts. Probably this last month and a half, 2 months, maybe even 3 months, I could say. And a part of the craziness in my schedule has meant that there's things in my life that I am not as ahead that I normally would. And what that has done is it has made getting podcast episodes out. Like, I've been pushing episodes out like last minute. I'm normally, 2, 3, 4, 5 podcasts batched, got a month done at once. But man, your boy's been hanging on for dear life. Your boy, my Monday episodes, I've been recording them for the most part Sunday nights. All right. So, but I was just really chilling, and I was like, I really don't feel like shooting this podcast. And I almost didn't. I was like, you know what? I'll just tell my editor. I'll just tell her that I'll release it Monday, right? Like, I'll go to sleep, get some good rest, and shoot the episode Monday morning, fresh, fired up, ready to go. It'll be I'm telling myself the story, right? It'll be a better episode. And here's where the mindset stuff comes in play. I was like, who am I kidding? Like, there's people out there that are waiting on your boy to release an episode. I'm consistent. I'm Mr. Consistent. I'm Mr. Keep Showing Up. I am Mr. Like, don't let your feelings, forget your feelings. Don't let your feelings stop you. Don't let your feelings change how you take action. So I was like, all right, I got to get past my feelings. I got to get beyond how I actually feel. And man, so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's strap up. Let's get it going. Let's crack the mics open. Let's crack the camera open. And let's get into it. So in this episode, man, I want to talk about this topic a little bit because if you don't catch this kind of stuff, and I see this happening all the time. I run into people all the time who live their lives like this way. And that is living their lives according to their feelings. I'm going to repeat that again. There's people out there, get this. I know this might not be you, but there are people out there who actually live their life based on how they feel about every single thing. And here is the kicker. They even let how they feel about a thing determine what action they take, what action they don't take, how they show up in a room, what opportunities they go after. They live according to their feelings. Their feelings are their guide. Their feelings are the dictator to know if this is a good opportunity or a bad opportunity. If I want to do this or if I don't want to do this. This is all based on, for a lot of people, how they feel. And I just made it my life journey, my commitment to not be so connected to my feelings that I become a slave to them, that I let my feelings dictate and determine what I can and can't do. And so I really want to talk about this topic because I've just committed to my life, man, that I don't want to live a mediocre, mundane life. Like I don't know about you. I don't know about you that's listening to this episode here, but I've just made it my commitment that I'm done living an average life, that I'm done keeping up with the status quo, that I'm done not doing things that are extraordinary, that I'm done not going above and beyond what I know I'm capable of doing, not exceeding expectations, not exceeding my livelihood, not exceeding everything. Like I'm done living in the box and in the parameters that normal life is consistent of. And so I've committed, right? If I am the person who says I want to live an extraordinary life, that means that I have to be the person that does extraordinary things. If I want to live a extraordinary life, I have to commit to the fact that that means I have to do extraordinary things. And so one of the biggest detractors or the distractions that people fall into when they are not consistently doing extraordinary things is they fall into this feeling game. They fall into this thought that I have to go based on what my feelings say. And man, here's the biggest piece for me is I 100% am confident that if I can build a consistent path and a consistent track of doing everything not from my feelings, but everything more so from a business perspective, everything from a pure, is this a right or wrong thing? Does this help me get closer to where I want to go or further away from where I want to go? And really disconnect myself emotionally or detach myself emotionally from the action or the outcomes. I'm confident, man, that my life will be so much better, that I will continue to exceed anything that I thought was possible. And I just want to encourage you in that in this episode, in that wherever you are right now, man, you have to continue to deny yourself the what could be a very simple process of slipping back into mediocrity. Y'all, like, it is playoff basketball. I don't really watch that much TV. There's a couple times that I really get into sports. That is if it's playoff basketball, and that's just not any play. Like if my team, like if I'm watching my boy LeBron James, shout out to LeBron. If LeBron is in the playoffs, I'm locked in. Or my Steelers are in the playoffs, I'm locked in. I'm not like, I don't just like leisurely watch a lot of TV or anything like that. But it would have felt good on a Sunday evening, hang out, watching some basketball, chilling, relaxing, had a busy day, right? But that is such a mediocre thought. Like, that is such a mediocre mentality that says, let me just chill. Let me just relax. Let me just, take this time off. Let me not commit myself to what I said I wanted to do. Because here's the thing. There is people that are waiting on this episode. I'm confident that every time I release an episode, that this episode has been releasing at 4 a.m. for the last year and a half. We don't miss. We have not missed a Monday. We have not missed a Monday for a year and a half. This podcast is released every single Monday for a year and a half straight. So if that's the case, I can't just chill at home. Like there's people who say, hey man, this is a part of my routine to listen to this episode. A part of my routine is to listen to this podcast, maybe on my way to work or during work, whatever that is, right? And so I can't miss. And I'm committing to, if I really am the guy that lives the pivoted life, I've got to put and exercise the pivots in my own life, right? And so here's the thing. One of the pieces that, and I want to be able to give you guys some takeaways because I'm confident that I'm not the only one that kind of deals with this kind of stuff throughout life, and that every single day is a vote towards or against the kind of person you want to be. Every day you are voting towards or against the kind of person that you want to be. And whatever you decide to do in that day, the actions that you decide to take are going to determine if you become closer to that person or further away from that person. And I've just made it my commitment, man, that I'm not going to intentionally stop myself from getting close to the kind of person that I want to be. And so the best way that I can do that is continue to pour into others, is to continue to really like max out and give everything that I have to other people. And one of the platforms just happens to be this podcast, right? So, man, I read a quote, and I think it really connects to what I'm talking about in this episode. And it says this. I actually talked about my guy in the last episode, Alex Hormozy, but he also has a really good quote that I absolutely love. The quote says this. It says, "You don't build confidence by shouting out affirmations in the mirror, but by having an undeniable stack of proof you are who you say you are. The best way to build confidence is to outwork your self-doubt." I'm going to repeat this again for the people in the back. I'm going to repeat it again for you. You don't build confidence by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. In order to build confidence, you have to outwork your self-doubt. I love this, man, because there is such a mantra out there in the mentality of people that just say, I am because I said that I am, or I know I can do it because I said I can do it. And deep down inside, you don't even trust you. Like deep down inside, you don't even believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. Like you are not even convicted by the wording and what you're actually saying. And so I found, man, in order to build confidence, and I think this pours into what I'm talking about around taking action, is you've got to outwork your self-doubt. That it is okay to have doubt or to doubt something. And I'm saying doubt because the only reason why I haven't pushed out an episode is because I didn't have confidence that this episode is changing people's lives. But if I'm confident that this episode is changing people's lives, best believe this. I would have batched this episode out. I would have 5 episodes, 10 episodes, 20 episodes in the queue, ready to go at any given point in time. Why? Right? It's because it will be a level of confidence that I'm genuinely feel like I'm helping people, pouring into people. But here's the trick of the enemy. The enemy will try to tell you that what you're doing doesn't matter to other people. The enemy will try to tell you that what you're doing is not impacting, it's not helping, it's not motivating, it's not inspiring. And with that voice, it'll stop you from taking the action with the level of confidence, rigor, and intensity that you should be taking in order to take your life to the next level and to continue to pour out to other people. But listen, you cannot let that stop you in order to become the best version of yourself. You got to know that God has something deposited on the inside of you that he wants to get out of you. And the way you can get out of you is by taking the action to do and move in the area and in the parts that God is calling you to. And for me, that just happens to be through this podcast. For me, that just happens to be in business and entrepreneurship, right? You have your own lane. You have your own area and way that God is using in order to not just help you become the best version of yourself, but for you to help other people become the best versions of themselves. Like, we got to know that we are seeds. And when we give of ourselves, when we bury ourselves in something else like dirt, right, we have the propensity to sprout and to multiply ourselves and to grow and to develop and to beautify and to become harvest for something else. And so as long as you are only thinking that you're impacting you, you will always not take action. You will always be inconsistent. You will always lack and become lackadaisical on the things that God has called you to. But I just want to encourage you in that, man. Like, you've got to know that what you're doing is really important. I don't know who this is for. I don't know what thing you're processing through. I'm not sure what God has given you, but you have to know that what God has given you, man, you can't afford not to be consistent with what God has given you. You absolutely cannot afford to not be consistent. You can't afford to take that thing off. You can't afford to take the break. You can't afford to do like what God has given you, man. I know we're in this culture that says, man, I can just chill and it just comes to me and I don't have to do any work and I don't have to put any action and I don't have to fight for it. That it's supposed to just come to me. But man, I got another thing coming for you. If you think that everything you desire is just going to come to you and that you don't have to put in work, that you don't have to become uncomfortable, that you don't have to get outside of yourself and to be intentional about being active and taking the action necessary, I don't know what to tell you. That if that is the lifestyle that you have, you are going to find yourself in a pattern of mediocrity, right? And so if you want to change your actions, the best thing to do is to change your environment. And if you want to change your actions, the best way to do that is to change your environment. And so here's the thing. Environment doesn't necessarily just have to be like, you don't have to move to a new state, move to a new city, though that could be helpful. The best way, and this is what I actually mean, is to change where you are, where your location is. The minute that I move from my living room to my office and I hit, I'm telling you, man, it's a button. It triggers. It's a trigger. It's a what they call it. It's a cue, right? When it comes to the Pavlov psychology thing, right? Like when I turn my Rodecaster Pro on, when I hit that button and the lights come on, I'm in podcast mode. As long as I was sitting on my couch, right? I wasn't going to record an episode. As long as I was just sitting on my couch, I wasn't going to take action. But man, the minute that I sat down in my chair, the minute that I turned the Rodecaster Pro on, the minute that I start to turn the lights on in my office is the minute that I got into the right mode. I changed my environment. And sometimes for you, changing your environment is just like, yo, can you go to the library? You really want to get some work done? Go to the coffee shop. You really want to take action on that thing? Hang out into the bookstore. Like, you change your environment, right? If your environment is not conducive to the life that you want, you got to change it. And that doesn't mean that you got to move to a different state. It may mean that your patterns are not conducive to the life that you want. So I've kind of gone everywhere in this episode. Really, I want to encourage you because the thought of mediocrity, again, I almost didn't do this episode. I almost just said, I'm gonna do it later. I almost just called it a wrap for this episode. And it would have came out late. It had came out, but it would have came out late. And who am I to be the person that says life is all about the pivots? And those who decide to make the pivots decided. Who am I, the guy, to say that? And I don't make the pivot. And that pivot was pivoting from my couch to going and taking the action. So it could be big or small, but what action haven't you taken yet? Like what thing are you just sitting on? It could be big. It could be something small. Like what thing have you just continued to kick the can down the road? And you will realize that these are the patterns that hold you back, not just with one thing, but with everything. That you keep kicking all the cans down the road. That you keep saying with your mouth what you don't do with your feet. Stop it. Stop saying with your mouth what you don't do with your feet and what you don't do with your legs. Stop that. If you want to change your life, you have to change how you receive the stimuli and take action on the stimuli. And so I think it's important just to track and find where are those things in your mentality that are holding you back. And I realized that was a thought that was holding me back. And the minute that I found it, the minute that I felt it, the minute that I made that pivot, I was like, nope, we got to do it. We got to shoot a podcast. We got to do another episode. So that's all I have for you in this episode, man. I just want you to be encouraged to not fall prey to the mentality of mediocrity. Do not fall prey. I think that's what I'm going to call this episode. To not fall prey to the mentality of mediocrity, because it is subtle and it will creep up on you and it will tiptoe its way into your life. And you won't realize that you're living a mediocre life until you're 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the path and realize you are so much further from the goal than you desired. You won't know that you committed your life to the pattern of mediocrity until you are trying to retire and you realize that you cannot. Until you're trying to live an opulent life and then you realize you cannot. Until you're trying to do something for other people and you realize you can't even do anything for yourself. You will not detect the patterns of mediocrity often until it's too late. And so can you tune up your senses? Can we increase your awareness to these patterns of mediocrity that are holding you back, these patterns that will keep you bound and that will keep you away from all that God has for you in your life. All right. And so that's all I got for you in this episode. Remember, life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.